Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Yeah, it's one of those days. Of course, the dog decides to come down here. She's filthy as can be. Get out of here. Oh, about 100 degrees or so, 102. Heat index, 106, 108. Been on a mower and since, well, I guess about 8:30 or so this morning. Just completely coated in dust and dirt and filth. And so I decided I'd come down here and do this. Man, stuff's going on, folks. It's getting crazy. This whole Hunter Biden stuff, Joe Biden, Biden crime family, nuts. I don't even know if you can talk about that here on YouTube. I haven't quite figured that out. I haven't tested those waters yet. I know a bunch of other stuff they won't let me talk about on here. I'll get slapped on them. Yeah, do that to me. But apparently, messages have been released that not only was he saying that, hey, his dad, the big guy, 10% for the big guy sat next to me. He basically was telling his CCP contact that there's no one else. The Biden family is the best at doing the deeds and fulfilling the needs of the chairman. The chairman, speaking of the chairman of the CCP, Xi Jinping. That's who he was talking about. And come on, Yovel, that's her name. And she is a sweetheart, but she just hasn't quite learned her personal space, and that's very common with Pyrenees. Yeah, he was saying that you need to pay us $10 million. $5 million's not enough, because that's what CCP was wanting to pay. No, it's got to be $10 million. You guys can afford it because there's no one else that can fulfill the wishes and do the bidding of the chairman of the CCP better than the Biden family. That's what he said. I'm paraphrasing it, but that's what he said. We're watching the banking system and the currency just watching it fall apart. There's people all across Illinois, Ohio, complaining of formaldehyde and plastic smelling fumes, and they say it's all because of the fires in Canada. Because there's lots of smoke coming down, and it looks just like it did in New York a few weeks ago, but they're saying that the smells are awful. There's videos of guys and people online walking around with air testers and showing how bad the air quality is. This whole stuff with Russia, it's like it's building to a point that it's just going to get worse. We don't know when. Is it? It looks like it. Lots of stuff going on. How does that affect you and I? Well, the immediate thing that it affects is, I guess, us mentally, from an emotional standpoint. It affects us because some people worry a little too much, or we react too much to it. That's probably the initial thing that happens. But how else does it affect us? Well, some of these things can affect us long range down the road. If we go into World War III. There was an article, I think it was Zero Hedge. I talked about it over on my Locals channel, which, by the way, I'm going to stop for a moment because I know some of you absolutely hate it when I plug things that I do. But I've been doing podcasts now for 3 weeks, audio podcast weekly. And I've been primarily or only posting it over on Locals, but now I'm expanding and doing a 2-hour podcast. The first hour you can listen on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. So you can listen to that first hour for free on any of those services. And if you want to listen to the second hour, you can go over and subscribe to Locals. That's the preparedhomestead.locals.com. There's a link down in the description below. And you'll be able to listen to the second hour over there and getting some good reviews. Slightly different format. Of course, it's long format. But got some pretty cool things planned for that, some ideas. So if you want to check out the podcast, maybe you're driving to work, or you're washing the dishes, or you're out in the garden. You can't really sit and watch a video. You just want something to play. do that. And I am planning on incorporating a little bit of music potentially from you, the listeners. So if you are into music, you have music that you're trying to promote, I'm only doing good, clean stuff. So, you know, if it has bad language and all that kind of stuff, it'd be great if it was, you know, Christian gospel kind of stuff. But I'll promote good, clean music on there also. Anyways, moving on, because we're getting way off track. All the bad stuff happening gets us all worried. Half the world out there or more is functioning just like everything is normal, right? The world is fine, everything's normal. It's all us crazy conspiracy theorist preppers that have this idea that the world is falling apart. And while things have changed and there's a new normal, the world is still kind of functioning and going along. That's what we're told. And then folks like you and I, we're seeing all this stuff and like, do you not realize how much has changed in the last few years? Do you not realize how much is taken away rights? How far down the road we have gone when it comes to collapse, when it comes to complete tyranny? Do you not realize all the things that they're talking about, that they're wanting to do, that's coming down the road, how bad those things are? Yeah, most people tune it out. It's too much for them. And then there's probably a few of you, more than a few, that at times, occasionally question if you're overreacting, or if maybe all those naysayers that at work or in your family, maybe they're right and you're wrong. Well, I can't tell you who's right and who's wrong, but I can tell you that things are most certainly advancing. And there's so much out there. There was an article by Zero Hedge. This is what I got off track and I completely forgot what I was trying to say. That's what it happens when you start getting into those older years. I'm just getting ancient. I know a lot of you are going to laugh at that. You're only as old as you feel, and there are some days I feel quite old. Anyways, there was an article, I believe it was Zero Hedge. I talked about it over on Locals Today on the video I put up over there. This guy was, and I don't remember all the details. I probably should have been a good content creator and looked it up and made sure I had all the information correct. But anyways, the guy, I believe he worked in the White House, maybe the Trump administration or something like that. And he was saying that by his analysis, there's not going to be any more honest elections. He said that he believes that it's done and over with. We've already seen our last one, and that things are only going to get worse. That he thinks that this next election, it's quite possible the stuff that will happen will be so overt. No, baby, you are so filthy. Will be so overt that it could cause an uprising, and maybe that's exactly what they want. Oh, nice little bluegill just swam up next to me. I think that's what they want. I think that whether or not that's going to happen, I think they do want folks like you and I to kind of to rise up and to cause a problem. It would certainly, I think, help their agenda. You know, making things more chaotic. Being able to say all these patriots, all these people we've been warning you about for the last few years, they are as bad as we've been telling you. See, look at them. Look how violent they are. I think that's a very good analysis. Not saying it's going to happen. But when you look at all the stuff, the technology that they're talking about, when you look at their social programs, when you listen to the stuff that all these elites say, I don't know how you can look at it any other way and not see that things are... Ooh, something just nipped at my back. I think that was a crawdad. I don't see how you can see it any other way. There's certainly a lot of crazy stuff going on. It's hard to keep a conversation going when I've got a dog trying to get into my face and I got a crawdad pinching my back. The point that I'm trying to make here is, as I'm sitting here getting nipped at and licked on, is that we have to at some point tune out certain things. If you know in your heart that things are bad, if you know and you're very secure with your thoughts, secure with how things are going, we have to kind of tune some of those things out sometimes, and we have to just continue to work towards getting ourselves ready. I don't know that there's really a chance of any more of truly turning things over. I know that people talk about revolution, revolt, all this kind of stuff. Could it happen? Maybe. Could it be successful? Maybe. But honestly, a lot of you've got all kinds of stuff in your fur. Honestly, all the stuff that's happened, the conditioning of the American people, the fear that's been put into them, I don't even know if that's even possible anymore. The thing is we have to focus on ourselves first. We have to focus on our families first, and we have to focus on our own independence and self-sufficiency. Because here's the thing: you go back 250 years ago, and you look at the founders that fought against the British. They weren't really dependent upon the British crown. They knew that, in fact, that was part of their argument. We don't need you. We don't need you. You serve no purpose for us. We're paying these taxes. We're abiding by your laws for no reason. There's nothing that we need from you. We can stand on our own 2 feet. The American people, even the patriots, even the ones that would actually stand up against this system, this machine, can they stand on their own 2 feet? Can they handle being cut off from government? Can they handle being cut off from government monthly checks? Can they handle being cut off from the grid? Can they handle being cut off from the supply chain? Can they handle being cut off from the medical system? Because that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. And until the American people that truly want to see change and are willing to do things to see change, until those people become independent of the system, I don't think anything's going to change. We can't be dependent upon this stuff. We can't be tethered to the supply chain, tethered to the Social Security and the benefits systems and tethered to the medical systems and tethered to the grid and all the supply chains, and then expect at some point we're going to be able to stand up against it all and to bring it all down and to build something new. We have to be self-sufficient. We have to be as independent as possible. And that's been the argument for years of why the socialist system that's being built here in America is creating this dependency. Because once the people are so dependent upon the system to exist, they're not going to fight against it no matter how bad it is. And so for you folks that still, it's something in you that says, you know what, if it gets that bad, I'm willing to stand up. If it gets that bad, I think that's the right thing to do. If you think that way, you need to be as self-sufficient as possible. You need to not be beholden and tethered to all of it. And it does include the grid. It does include the supply chain, because they control all of that. You could say, well, the grid and the supply chain, that's all private industry. You think those private companies are going to stand with you? Most likely not. And the fact is the government really controls a lot of that. They control the ways that those things are moved around the country or whatever. You'll get cut off. You'll get cut off from it. And you better be prepared to exist outside of the system, because if that's in your mind of a direction that this country's headed or that you're headed, you better be working feverishly to be able to sever yourself from all that, because when they do, it's going to be bad. And might as well do it on your own terms, is what I say. And I know that probably none of you, or at least most of you listening, aren't at that point. I know we're not, but we are working towards it. It's a constant theme. It's a constant focus. Is to do that. I mean, most of the decisions that we make in our lives kind of revolve around how can it make us, more independent? How can we, find a way to do this, and it helps us be more prepared. And that's about the best advice that I can give you, is to just continually work to cutting that tether that you have to all of the system, because we'll never be any kind of independence. We'll never be able to revolutionize this country and turn things greatly around as long as we're tethered to the system that we're trying to fight. It's time to get your houses in order, get your communities in order, and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.